Have you ever been in a situation where you have a few big ticket items coming up and you're wondering which card to get to maximize the return on your spend? In today's video, we'll walk through a scenario where we had a few big ticket items coming up, the few cards that were in the consideration set, and how we decided which card to get finally. My name is Abhilash. This is Credit Debit with Abhi, and like we do in all of our videos, without further ado, let's dive in. We're currently in a situation where we have to furnish a place. So that means that we have to buy new furniture, get kitchen utensils, and then pay for contractors potentially. And that means an opportunity to get a new credit card. And the reason I say that is because for the spend that you're putting in, there are very few things out there that can give you the kind of return that a new credit card can. Now, I'm not implying that you need to get a credit card every time you have to spend, but in this credit card world where you're trying to maximize points and miles, that's the strategy we generally lean into. But remember, you have to do this responsibly, meaning if you're spending money on a new credit card, you should have the cash in hand to be able to pay it off. And if you do not, maybe reconsider the amount you have to spend. So with that, let's look at our consideration set. We are looking at $8,000 to $10,000 in furnishing, so that can mean 2, potentially even 3 credit cards where you can benefit from the intro bonus offer. But for the sake of today's video, we'll focus on the 1 credit card we chose from the 3 credit cards that we selected in the consideration set. The way we decided to play this out is for my girlfriend to get the credit card. So in order to optimize the 2-player strategy, we were looking at credit cards that I did not have. This could mean a credit card within an existing ecosystem that I did not have. So that's basically Chase, American Express, or it could be a completely new ecosystem like the Capital One, as I do not currently hold a card from Capital One. The other thing we were looking for is a decent intro bonus, which meant that we were going to be okay with an annual fee on the credit card, as long as we had some options to downgrade down to a $0 annual fee card. So as a result of that, the 3 cards we identified in our consideration set, the Chase Marriott Boundless credit card, the American Express Platinum card, and number 3, the Capital One Venture cards. Now let me tell you why those 3 were the cards that we decided to put in the consideration set. I'm personally a big fan of the Chase Ritz-Carlton card, but the only way you can get to that card is by product changing from a card within the same family. And a card that gives you a decent sign-up bonus, so the Chase Marriott Boundless card currently has a 125,000 point intro offer, in which you get 75,000 points for spending a certain amount of money on the credit card and 50,000 more points after you stay for 6 nights at Marriott properties within a given time frame. This card comes with a $95 annual fee. After you hold on to the card for a year, you can then product change into a Ritz-Carlton card, and there are a few nuances around how you can make that change, but for the sake of this video, we won't be getting into it. The second card was the American Express Platinum card. And the reason that was in the consideration set is because my girlfriend got a pre-screened offer for 125,000 points after she spent $6,000 on the American Express Platinum card after 6 months of ownership. And the reason we were looking at the Capital One Venture cards is because we just don't have any exposure to that ecosystem. So we were interested in getting a credit card that gave us exposure to a few travel partners that may not be available with the other ecosystems. Before I tell you which credit card we ended up deciding to go with, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Let's start with ruling out one of the 3 cards. So the card I'm going to rule out first is the American Express Platinum card. It was great that there was a pre-screened offer of 125,000 points after we spent $6,000 in the first 6 months of card ownership, and we'd be easily able to hit that mark. The reason we decided against it is I already have a Platinum card, and the annual fee just makes sense for me because I'm able to utilize all the coupon benefits that the card offers. But my girlfriend is very different. She doesn't like having to think about how to use a credit card, which is why she has the Chase Sapphire Reserve, where you just put travel spend on it and you get $300 back every single year. So managing the American Express Platinum card would have been quite the chore. And the other reason why we decided against it is, if you think about the $6,000 spend, you can actually get 2 different credit cards from 2 different ecosystems, which can give you exposure to 2 different types of point systems, instead of getting 125,000 from just American Express. And like I said, I already have an American Express set up, so I already have those membership reward points. But what we don't have is exposure to a few different points and miles. So that's the first card ruled out. Let's move on to the second card that we ruled out. And that's going to be the Chase Marriott Boundless card. Now this card on paper looks great. and it has one of the highest offers that there has been on this card, especially because you have the 50,000 bonus points after you stay 6 nights at Marriott properties within a 6-month window. And the other thing was that since she's under 524, a chase card made a lot of sense. But the reason we decided against it is we already have a Hyatt setup. We already have a Hilton setup. I don't think we're going to be traveling as much to justify a third hotel card in the setup. And the other thing is, while the Marriott miles can be transferred over to some airline partners, the transfer rates are just not good enough. And so the best use of Marriott points is to book Marriott stays. And again, like I said, I have the 2 free award nights from my Hilton Aspire cards. I have a bunch of points sitting in my Hilton account as well as my Hyatt account. And with not as much travel coming up in the next 6 months, we decided to put the Chase Boundless card out of the consideration. And that leaves us with the Capital One Venture cards. Now again, you might be thinking that it is going to be the Capital One Venture X, but again, you're mistaken. What we decided to go ahead with is the Capital One Venture Rewards card. Now this is the card that's 1 tier below the Capital One Venture X. Let's dive into the details of this card and let me explain why we chose this. So this card comes with an intro offer of 75,000 points after you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months of card ownership. Now these are Capital One Venture miles that you can easily transfer out to transfer partners, and I think you can get about 1.8 cents per point according to the points guy. You get 2 free visits to the Capital One lounges every single year. You get Hertz 5-star status, which means you can skip the rental counter and actually go directly into the lot and pick a car of your choice. You also get a $100 global entry or TSA pre-check credit, but I'm guessing if you're watching this video and you have a bunch of cards, this benefit is already covered in some other card. But let's quickly touch upon the multipliers as well. You get 5x back on hotels and car rentals booked through the Capital One portal, and then you get 2x back on everything else. Now there are 3 reasons we chose this credit card. Number 1, the intro offer. So like the Capital One Venture X, if you spend $4,000 on this card, you get 75,000 points as a part of the intro offer. This is the same offer that you have on the Capital One Venture X, though the annual fee is $300 more. Now yes, you can make good use of the $395 annual fee, that is true, but if you have a bunch of credit cards like we do, but sometimes using the Capital One portal to book travel may not be the best strategy to employ. And so for us, the Capital One Venture Rewards made more sense than the Capital One Venture X. Number 2 is the 2 lounge visits we get every single year. Now we have a fair amount of domestic travel we do, and if we travel through, let's say, the Dallas airport even once, we can use the 2 lounge visits, and I would value that at least $20 to $30 per person, so that's about $40 to $60 that we've made back on the $95 annual fee, not accounting for the intro offer. And the third reason why we selected this credit card is the 2x back that you get on everything else. So even after we are done using the credit card to get the intro offer, we can continue to use this credit card at least for the first year as a catch-all credit card. And to top it all, after a year of ownership of this card, there are downgrade paths available to $0 annual fee cards. So there you have it. That's why we chose the Capital One Venture Rewards card to maximize some of the spend that we have coming up. If you found this video entertaining, smash that like button. If this is the second time watching a video, consider subscribing. And like always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.